Welcome back, everybody, to the Hurt Sportsbook episode 6, UFC Vegas 53. Quite a main card, I'll say that. This main card is stacked, and then only rightfully so, it has an absolute banger of a main event. Probably going to be one of the best fights of the entire year. And it might even go slept on entirely as one of the best fights of the year. Probably just because, just under just the Fight Night and the Apex and whatnot. But also Rob Font and Marlon Vera are honestly two of the most underrated, not even just bantamweights, but I think in the entire UFC, especially with Marlon Vera and the surge that he's on right now. I think we talked about it on the last episode of the Hurt Handbook.
Yeah, I covered it a little bit.
Yeah, that I don't think that would be the case anymore if we can find a win over Rob Font. But we're here to talk about it. We're here to break it all down, and a way to help you profit. It's gonna be banger. So it's only right we get started from the top with these two. Starting with their Draftkings price tags. Rob Font checking in at 8-3 and Marlon Vera at 7-9. So very close, and then we can see it in the numbers as well as on. I'll start with the Draftkings money line with Rob Font as the favorite. I think that's fair, totally fair. -135, and then Cheeto Vera +115 on Draftkings, and FanDuel it's pretty much the same thing. Ryan, any additional thoughts or whatnot?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of when I was watching film and stuff and breaking down the fight for myself and writing notes, I've definitely I've gone back and forth a bunch of times, and I'll say this, I think I'm confident in picking Cheeto. I really think this is a bad matchup for Rob Font after watching, because people sleep on how, especially I want to say this, I think that both guys are going to do well, and I think it's going to be a really good fight like you do. I think it's going to be close down to the wire. But basically what I think is probably going to be the case is Cheeto, the way he fights, he kind of plods forward a lot, and that's just how he's fought throughout his career, but he's improved so much fight to fight, and you've been able to see that very clearly in my opinion. So pretty much the thing is though, he walks forward and he does get hit a lot, but he's very tough.
He takes one to give one.
Very much so. And I think Rob Font, he has he's definitely the way faster fighter, and I think he's going to be able to land a lot of combinations on Cheeto, but I don't think he's going to be able to finish Cheeto, considering that nobody else has really been able to do that either. So I just don't see Font's power translating into a finish. And when it comes to the rest of MMA, in the clinch, they're both really good too, but Cheeto, his clinch game is powerful. His elbows do damage, and even from there, he's good at getting it to the ground. And when he's on top, he has very underrated, top control and just a ground game in general. And Rob Font, I saw that he has, I think it's 55% takedown defense. So that's you defend one and then you give one up. And against a guy like Cheeto, who I think his wrestling is probably criminally underrated. I think that Cheeto will be able to get him down a few times and do a lot of damage with the ground and pound, if anything. But I just think that Cheeto has so much more power, and I think that that's gonna play a huge difference, because I think that Font can definitely use his footwork and land a lot, but I don't think it's gonna have the same effect that it's gonna have when Cheeto lands on him. I think that I don't know. Cheeto has he's honestly, I feel he's one of the more slept on people in that division, just because his game doesn't look super impressive. He has very noticeable flaws, but those flaws aren't bad enough to ever really bring him down. I watched the O'Malley fight, the Davey Grant fight, Aldo, and I watched that Frankie Edgar one. Those four were the ones that I really got a lot from. But I think even in the O'Malley fight and in the Aldo fight, guys hit him, but it doesn't do much. And I think that usually what happens is that he just wears guys out with the pressure and exhausting yourself just trying to hit him and do damage. And I think that over a 5-round fight, I think that really it helps with his style. I'm not worried, even though he's never been in like a 5-rounder. I'm not worried really about his cardio.
Okay, well, no adjustments really that. I just think Rob Font, like, as far as like cash games and whatnot go, like if you the quote unquote, we say it all the time, like safe bet, I think Rob Font, I don't have him, he's really not that much expensive than Cheeto at all. I think with Cheeto, like I mean, I think
I would expect him to get points with takedowns. For fantasy, I'm saying. I would think that like he's gonna definitely.
Do you think grappling. Do you like? I mean, I know you think that like it could happen, but do you like see like him landing a shot, knocking Rob Font down, maybe a potential TKO finish?
I could. I mean, like I said, he's got the power, and it always seems to be like when you least expect it with Cheeto, like in the O'Malley fight and the Frankie Edgar fight, like he was getting picked apart in the O'Malley fight before he obviously landed that leg kick, and then in the Frankie Edgar fight, Frankie was honestly, that fight is one that I really got a lot from, because even though Frankie's more of a wrestler, he has like the same quick blitz in, land a huge combination type of style, like with his boxing, and he was landing like with relative ease, especially in the first and second rounds against Cheeto. And so that's why I think that Font is going to have no problem landing. I just think that Cheeto is more of a threat to like actually finish this fight in a lot of different places. Like I think he could drop him, like you said. I think that his jiu-jitsu is very underrated. Like if Font for some reason tries to take him down, I think that he's a threat off his back. But even if not that, I think he can get up. And I think if Cheeto is on top of Rob Font, I think Rob Font is going to have a lot more trouble getting back to his feet than Cheeto would.
Yeah, I mean, there you have it. I mean, so I guess we'll just leave it to the end for the official pick, like we always do, because I think this is gonna be quite an official pick. But yeah, I mean, we'll just circle back to that at the end. Like I said, we could just go right on over to the fight preceding it between Andrea.
Oh, wait, actually, before I just thought about this. Actually, before we go on to the next one, I do want to say this also for Cheeto. The fact that like Rob Font has one of the best jabs in the UFC, like I'm not disputing that. But when you watch that jab, he's putting a lot of weight on his front leg, and Cheeto has phenomenal leg kicks. And I think that he can stifle that movement early, which is why I think that he could probably get the fight to the ground, get it in closer proximity. But yeah, I just wanted to note that because that's actually a very big deal. Because
that's funny too with Rob Font just coming off an Aldo fight too. And you deal with another guy with just lethal leg kicks.
I always like doing that when I watch fights in preparation, like when both fighters have fought the same guy in like a relatively short time.
That's it.
Like you get a lot
lost
out of that.
to the same guy. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, Aldo's the man. He called out Aljamain very respectfully. I think that he should get that fight personally. Because I think that he's earned it with his career and his past few fights. And also I think we've talked about this like privately, but I don't know if we ever really covered it like on air. But like I think that TJ Dillashaw like deserves a title shot, but the fact that he's coming off of a suspension and like a close win, I don't think that you should give it to that guy, just because like I get that he's paid his debt for cheating, but he still cheated. Like I just don't like one fight and then you're automatically into a title shot. Exactly. And I think that disrespect that TJ's been showing Aljo is very real. Like I think he really thinks he's gonna run right through him, and I think that's a big mistake. Thinking that he thinks he's gonna run right through Aljo.
He was literally there live in person to watch him beat Piotr Jan with nobody.
Like I don't know if that's just promotion, because TJ, like all those guys, honestly, all those guys that stem from Team Alpha Male, like they have just a different type of cockiness to them, and like it suits, like it's good and it's bad sometimes. Like that's the thing, but yeah, I know TJ hasn't trained there in forever, but he did start there.
Yeah.
He has like a lot of confidence, and I respect that. Like he's one of the best fighters in that division for sure. Like he could beat Aljo. That's not even what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it's gonna be some cake. It would be some cakewalk for Aljo, but
yeah, or TJ. Like, cause TJ's like, yeah, I'm not even worried about him. Like, you should be, like, cause I don't think you're just gonna be able to take this dude to the ground and like keep it there. especially safely, because Aljo, he's looking for your neck, your arm, your back. Like, it's just dangerous. And on the feet, I think they have actually very similar styles. It's just Aljo's more like chaotic with it. But yeah, we definitely went on a bantamweight tangent there. I think that was worth doing. I think it's just
for sure.
That division. I love it. Like I always say, that in my opinion, that's the best division in the UFC.
It's got guys up top. It's deep. It's like it's a really stacked division.
Exactly.
But, huge main event going for it.
Yeah,
We'll
for
just
sure.
transition over where we got on the minus 145 Andrea Orlowski taking on plus 125 Jake Collier. Andrea Orlowski, a pretty easy favorite, plus 140, at least on FanDuel, to win by decision. Draftkings give it in plus 130. And not even his knockout prop is, relatively decent, plus 440 and plus 400. As far as price tags go, 8,400 on DraftKings for Arlovsky, $17 on FanDuel. I think it's a solid pick. I mean, I don't hate it. It doesn't blow me. Yeah, it's nothing that's gonna blow me away. But
in terms of fantasy, though, I do want to say this lately, and by lately I honestly mean the past few years. Andrea Orlowski, he's definitely changed his style.
Yeah, good for him.
It's helping him win. But the thing is, for fantasy though, he's not landing a crazy amount. There's not much going on, and he might be good for a bet maybe. Mm-hmm. But in terms of fantasy, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's why. That's why I like to bring up the money line odds and whatnot, because even that's I don't see really little to no value in it.
It's just one of those. It's a typical heavyweight fight. I mean, I think Arlovsky's going to try and stick and move as he always does, and Collier is going to be trying to take his head off, and I think he's going to have a hard time doing that. And I think Arlovsky might even use his ground game a little bit.
Yeah, because on DraftKings at least, they'd have the same exact odds to win by a knockout. Yeah. So,
at heavyweight, there's always a decent chance just because they're huge human beings, but
it's if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in the first 2 rounds.
This is one of those fights for sure. If it's in round 3, you're gonna see the sloppiest.
It's just
except for Arlovsky though. Arlovsky will probably be all right, but Collier might be chasing him a little bit.
This would be Arlovsky's 4th straight win, I think. If I'm
actually, I don't. He's had a lot of wins lately, but I know that Aspinall loss is somewhere in there. Oh, because he had 4 straight, and he could have had 4 fights. I mean, who knows? I know he's fought a couple times, I think, since then. I know, and he always beats these guys who are up. I remember when he beat Tanner Boser. I didn't think he was going to beat Tanner Boser, and he pretty much just danced around him, and Tanner couldn't really get anything meaningful off. And I think that's just what's going to happen in this fight too.
Who do you think for Jake Collier, the most likely path to victory is just the knockout, landing the? You think he goes to just a one shot, or he just he has a chance to just lay it on Andrea Orlowski? I just see it more if he is gonna win, then it's just gonna be one hitter quitter.
That's what I think. I think there's the potential that he could just beat him pillar to post, mostly just because of Arlovsky's age, but he hasn't shown that that's a problem yet. And until he does, I'm not gonna hold it against him. So. I think his best chance to win is a clean, just one shot knockout.
Yeah, I don't see a ton of value either in terms of his price tag on both sites. So, just kind of a fight that's there. You want once again, I think Andrea Orlowski is another fine cash game play. I mean, he's pretty much the same price as Rob Font. So I mean, I guess. Is it good pretty much if you want to play them both, then whatever, but...
Yeah, it might not be, the most exciting fight, but honestly, for me personally, Andrea Orlowski, he's just a legend. That's just what it is. You got to give the guys flowers every time he goes into the octagon. The dude's, I think he's 33 and 20. That's unbelievable to think about, the fact that he's had, over 50 fights. So... Yeah, I mean, I'd
33 and 20. Yeah, you got that exactly right.
Yeah, I remember. That's how people know who are watching that. I'm actually doing my research. I'm not just talking out my ass. He's a
legend. Pitbull.
Legit. He was beating Tim Sylvia back when me and you were in kindergarten. So this guy was the man. I will say that.
I would just use that to transition right on over to. I think I have a fight that I think offers definitely more value than this one, and at least the sense of one person, that being Andre Fili taking on Joanderson Brito, and I think Andre Fili looks pretty damn good here.
Yeah.
Check it in with a 9,300 price tag on DraftKings, minus 240 moneyline favorite on FanDuel, and a minus 260 on DraftKings. No objections. I think it's really solid. Those are some really solid numbers there. I think this is someone definitely worth getting to. Just simply the better fighter than Joanderson Brito. I don't think
good stylistic matchup too. Just because like Brito, he's gonna use his aggression, and I think Fili has enough power and enough experience in the UFC that I think that he'll be able to just use Brito's aggressiveness just against him the whole fight. And honestly, I feel like he's eventually going to run into a huge shot by Andre Fili, because Fili's got mad power. So I'm a big fan of Andre Fili. I think he has one of the best nicknames in the sport, Touchy Fili. Like, talk about using your name to market yourself. That's genius. Like, I always thought that was cool. When I first got into the sport, I thought he was cool for that. And ever since then, I've just been a fan, and he's obviously very exciting to watch. So I think that this might be an Andre Fili fight to keep your eye on. I think that this might be impressive.
You think you have any sort of like call-out prediction you think he might?
I don't know. It's so tough for him, because every time I feel like he's getting into that upper echelon, he loses. And I don't know if that's like a mental thing or a physical thing.
That too.
Like, I remember he
very
fought
weird.
Sadiq
Like,
Youssef. I had high hopes, but I think he lost that.
I think I've gotten a lot better, like, with, using this term, like, a lot less loosely, but, like, gatekeeper term. Like, this is what it kind of feels like.
I don't even know if you could call him that, though, because I don't think the UFC is really using people.
Yeah, I don't think
he's
Andre
not getting
Fili
put against big prospects.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Andre Fili is not really someone that, like, you get matched up against, like, oh, you win this fight, like, now you're really, like,
it's more like if you win this fight, you might be fighting like a ranked fighter next, but it's not going to catapult you into any like title picture. Like, and either way, like, I think that they haven't really used Fili like that. Like, when you see him fight, like, it's not always like against like these young up and comers. Like, he does fight them occasionally, but he usually honestly fights like a lot of different veterans or people who have been in the game like around the same time as him, or just like less experienced guys who you want to see how they do. But I think that they're just matching him up against like fun fights. I'll say that they're giving him a lot of fun fights, and I think this one's a fun fight too. So we'll see if he can win this and string together some momentum. I hope he can. Like I said, I think he has like the tools. I don't really know why it hasn't translated for him.
Yeah,
might just be a matchup thing, but who knows?
Yeah, I was just kind of associate that term with like guys that are like they're good enough to get there, but they just can't seem to like break the glass ceiling.
That's fair then. If that's like your definition of it, then that's fair. I think if anything, we just have.
But yeah, I definitely know like the general definition as well, and like that's why like I feel like I try not to use it like so usefully and whatnot. But
it's also like hard because like you don't want to come off as like disrespectful.
Yeah, of course. At least for this weekend in particular, I think Fili looks great. I love the price tag on both sites. And the betting numbers too. I mean, his knockout prop isn't anything crazy either. Plus 215 on DraftKings, plus 230 on FanDuel. So I mean, Andre Fili. I think plenty of upside within the price tag, and just a solid cash game play as well. So get some.
I'm rooting for him. Like I said, he's got all the tools. Like, that's coming from an unbiased perspective. I've watched like enough of his fights at this point to see that he has like a lot of skills, and like I said, I'm surprised that he hasn't been able to really put it together so far. But
hopefully, this is the start of.
How old is Andre Fili?
That's a solid question. So
I'm curious to see if he's still got mad time or not, because he came into the UFC really young. I know that.
He's 31. Yeah.
He's still got plenty of time. Honestly, he's probably in the midst of like his physical prime, and he's only getting better at Team Alpha Male. So. Yeah, I like I said, I like Fili, so I hope he gets the win. I think stylistically this is like a good matchup for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, this next one I'm actually like very interested to hear your thoughts, for at least one of the men in this fight. I'm talking about Grant Dawson and Jared Gordon. Grant Dawson checking in as minus 180 favorite. Jared Gordon plus 155 on Draftkings. Because I'm not at least for like a fantasy, like I think Grant Dawson wins, but from a fantasy perspective, I'm just not, I'm okay. Like I can do with or without it.
I don't know if I can ever use him in fantasy again after what he did to me the last time. That's nothing against him. Like, I think he's a great fighter. But
I said that completely, like, forgetting about that, too. Yeah, now I know exactly what you're talking about.
I want to say it was his last fight. And I was certain that he was going to get, like, 15 takedowns on this guy. He was fighting. I don't even remember who he was fighting.
Jalen Turner.
Was it Jalen Turner?
Wait. No, it wasn't. I think.
I don't even know who he's fighting, dude.
I think actually Jeff.
I forget. It was someone. He was like a good striker.
Glenn is the last name.
Yeah. He was a really good striker, and he had I remember I had originally thought that Dawson was gonna run through him, but then I watched the tape and I was like, this guy has phenomenal takedown defense, legit, insanely good. And I was like, I don't know if he's gonna be able to get him down that easy, but I said to myself, all he's got to do is get him down once, and then he's gonna hold him down. And then in that fight, and this is one of the things that I want to mention actually, is that Grant Dawson, he's got all the tools, kind of like Andre Feely, but his cardio is where I kind of am a little bit nervous, because Jared Gordon, he's a really good fighter, and he's one of those guys that if you're not at your best, he might come up and beat you. And he's done well since he lost to Charles Oliveira, and I think that Grant Dawson, if he hasn't solved that cardio problem, it might come up. I still think he's gonna win, but that's a huge flaw to have in the UFC, especially. You see it get exposed all the time as people get into that upper echelon. You even look at Hamzat against Gilbert Burns, people are talking about his cardio. I don't know if that's his cardio per se, though. I think it's more energy management. I think that if he fought more disciplined, he wouldn't have gotten as tired. But Grant Dawson, I don't know which it is. And I think that he's going to really have to manage it in this fight against Jared Gordon, because you shouldn't sleep on him.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I have Dawson, though. I will, despite all that, because I think his wrestling is really good. And he's got great coaching. So I think he's trains out of that team with James Krause and all them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intrigued to see this fight. Honestly, I'm interested to see if he's solved the problem with his gas tank, because I think it was, I don't know if it was a draw that he had last time or just a split decision win. It was close. I know that. So, and then before that it was another close fight. It was Leonard Santos. I remember that one too. So I still want to see more with Grant Dawson. I think that this fight is interesting because of that. I want to see how much he's improved.
My thing is, I guess, the betting odds are really just, in terms of, even just their money line odds and, the Mets, the methods of victory props and all that, it's really, not all that, far, for instance, on FanDuel, Grant Dawson is plus 155 to win by decision. Jared Gordon's a plus 270, but I'll go on the DFS sites, and I like to classify a price range every 1,000, and these two aren't in the same price range really at all, because Grant Dawson is a whole $1,200 more expensive than a Jared Gordon, which I get it favor and whatnot, but I sometimes when I see that kind of price discrepancy, it's I just. First, I think to myself, wow, this guy must be, a pretty big favorite. Can't really complain with that. But
in terms of his skill set, he definitely should be. It's just, I don't know, I think cardio is a problem. I think that someone down the line, whether it be this fight or somewhere, is going to expose that, and it's going to actually cost him the fight. But that's why I'm
and you think Jared Gordon is someone that can put that pressure on him?
I think it's definitely possible. I don't even know if it's that, though. I think it's just the grind of what he's doing to win. Grant Dawson is so grappling centric, and he's always trying to shoot takedowns relentlessly. And obviously grappling, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, doesn't matter. It's just so exhausting.
And then when if he finds himself in a 5-round fight one day, I don't think that's
I
the
don't
kind
want to see that for him.
No, I don't think that's the kind of approach that's gonna get it done.
He's got to diversify it a little more, and also just like the relentlessness of his takedowns, it's like one of those things. It's like a double. Like it's like, on the one hand, it does work because like while you're putting that like grind on yourself, you're also putting it on the other person. So like if that other person has suspect cardio, you're gonna make them tired. But the thing is, I don't think Jared Gordon has really suspect cardio. Not that I remember, at least. Maybe I'm dead wrong there, but I don't think so. I think that this might be one of those fights that like the first round is going to be dominant.
Well, I mean, if for what it's worth, Jared Gordon's last 3 fights are all decision victories.
There you go. And like, I don't know, man. I think this could be like one of those fights that's going to be a lot closer than people think it's going to be, because Jared Gordon, he's a dog, man. Like I like him a lot
that's
too.
What I'm saying. I just feel, at least for DFS, like even on FanDuel, like it's an $8 difference, which I think is still like relatively significant. Jared Gordon at $11, that's easily one of the cheapest fighters on the card. So I mean, yeah, but the DraftKings price, I think it's at least worth taking stabs at Jared Gordon. Like even if he doesn't win, I can like still see why he pays off the price tag. And
round 3 of that fight, if it gets there, is going to be very interesting. I will say that, unless Grant Dawson has solved his cardio issue.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. Dynamic, not something crazy I'm gonna break my back to like get either fighter and like my lineups for, but definitely worth a talking point for sure. This one, however, does feature someone that I think it is worth getting a lot of. I'm talking about the plus. Or no, not the plus. I guess I might as well say the plus, and that in Gerald Meerschaert plus 140 taking on the minus 160 favorite. Krzysztof Jotko. I think I got that.
Yeah, that one's good. Krzysztof Jotko.
Jotko.
His first name looks more jumbled than it is. That's for sure.
Yeah, minus 174 for Jotko on FanDuel, and then Meerschaert is essentially the same odds on a FanDuel as well as he was on DraftKings, but Jotko here, another just kind of in the same sense as Andre Fili, just even cheaper than Andre Fili is, relatively significant, not that much, but $500 cheaper than Andre Fili is, and yeah, that's simply put. Jotko, I think, is another guy that just can get it done in a multiple amounts of ways. I think they're definitely. I don't think a finish is out of the realm whatsoever. All right. You think?
I'm gonna sound like such a jerk here, but like every time I see Jocko's name in the card, I literally like just want to like skip the fight, because like it's just, he takes no risks whatsoever, and like I get it. Like
question is though, does he need to take the risk in this fight?
No, like, well. The thing is, like, the only way I see Meerschaert really winning, obviously, is by submission. Like, I think he's got power, but I think that Jotko is so elusive, especially in the way he
Meerschaert
fights.
plus 300 to win by submission on DraftKings.
Yeah, like...
Not terrible.
Because it's just because he's so, like... He's very good at, like, locking it up. Like, he's, like, one of those guys, if it's there, you have to be very careful. Because if he locks it up, it might be night-night. But I just think Jotko, because of the fight style that I just mentioned, the fact that he takes no risks whatsoever, guy could literally be on the ground. He probably wouldn't even do anything about it. Like, I just, oh God. Like, I'm honest, I'm not looking forward to this fight at all. Like, because, like, I like Meerschaert a lot, too. So that's why, like, I'm praying to God that he submits this guy. Just because, like, I think Jocko's record is, like, super impressive, but they're all decisions because he does not take risks whatsoever. And, like, if that's because, like, he wants to make money or he just wants to win, it's fine. But
it wasn't too long that he fought Sean Strickland, and
he lost that fight.
Yeah, lost into...
Well, because, like, Sean Strickland, there you go. Like, Sean Strickland has the style to combat that. Sean Strickland's going to walk you down and get in your face. He's not going to let you just dance out of the way. Meerschaert, though, I don't think is going to be able to put that type of pressure on him. I just, like, I hate watching this. Because it's, like, every time I see him, I'm like, okay, this is just going to be another boring decision. Like, if he wins. And, like, I think he's going to win. That's what it is. I think he's going to dance around Meerschaert.
Yeah, TKO prop is, like... something like to gloss over, just the plus 225, like
He should be
like
minus 1,000 by decision. Like that's that's what
he's given. He's just I think he's just given that like typical like respect by the sites. Like okay, like this guy just wins like
because he's a really good fighter. Like it's not even. That's why it frustrates me so much because like I feel like if all he would have to do is like just like put your foot a tiny bit on like the gas pedal. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like watching him fight because of that. Because I feel like he's capable of getting some finishes, and then he just doesn't want to take that risk. And like it's a fight. Obviously, like I get why you wouldn't, but I don't know. I think he's one of those guys who could be so much better if he actually tried to finish people, rather than just point fighting.
Yeah, I hear you. But I guess 8,800. I think his FanDuel price is more appealing. I think that's the spot to play him at 18. Like just because the sense that the most like realistic
he's gonna get you like 12 points even in a win. Like it's just I don't know, man. Like I feel like I sound like such a disrespectful person. He's like 23 and 3.
Not, yeah.
But like it's around.
I hear what you're saying 100%. I just think in this fight in particular, I think Gerald Mearshart is just the kind of guy that just offers that kind of like upside to like maybe he's thinking exactly what you're thinking right now. Like,
look, if I'm gonna pick somebody in fantasy, it's gonna be Mearshart. And I don't even think Mearshart's going to win, but I think I would pick him just because if someone's going to get a finish and someone's going to rack up some points, it would be him. It's not going to be Jocko. Because Jocko, he's not like Arlovsky where like he's bouncing around and he's actually like really throwing. Like he doesn't throw. I don't know, man. And you hear it every time. Like you watch any of his fights, the commentary team, they're like, yeah, he's thrown like four punches. Like sometimes he throws more than others. I think this fight, honestly, I'll say this to his credit, I think that he'll probably throw more.
Yeah,
just because I think that Mearshart is there to be hit.
Mm-hmm.
But God, you're gonna have to wake me up if you're hitting this fight.
I'm gonna be the one to give him the benefit of the doubt this time around. But
please
he needs to actually like put it together this time because hopefully I'm not coming in on Monday like looking at sounding like an idiot right now. But
well, if he wins by like a boring 29-28 decision, I don't even know if we're gonna be talking about this fight. To be honest, I know I'm not planning on.
I'll own up to my wrong statement right now real quick. But
you know how the one fight what was it, Jack Shore and who did he fight?
Jack Shore,
it was Valiev.
Valiev.
Remember how we bet on that fight? In this fight, we should bet if it's boring or not. The
second official Hurt Sportsbook.
See, but that's like a subjective. I'm shitting on my own idea, but it's so subjective because like you're gonna be sitting there, he's gonna land like maybe one more significant strike than he does in every round.
Damn right. Yep.
Instead of like 6 significant strikes, he's gonna land 7.
Yep.
And then you're gonna be like, "Why do you think that was that boring?"
I'm gonna count it 100%.
Like, I think it was boring.
That was an improvement.
That was exciting. That was so awesome. I'm gonna be like, "No, get out." No, we shouldn't. But I think this might cause some problems.
I guess I'll take a look at Gerald Mearshart's DK price.
I feel like such a jerk. I did not come into this podcast planning on just eviscerating his fight style. But in terms of fantasy, man, like I would.
It always creates for a great conversation, dude. Like this is how you we're not always gonna you see eye on something. That just creates the beauty of it. And that's really because it's funny because we both literally think he's gonna win. It's just how he's gonna win, what he's gonna put on, and then how it's relevant to fantasy. In which sense, once again, I said before, he's only $500 cheaper than Andrea Orlowski. I'd just rather find the $500 for that, but. In the sense that I think there's still it's mainly because of his opponent. You said it before. Exactly. I think Gerald Mearshart just offers that kind of upside. So I don't hate it. Is what I'm saying. But this is about to be the fight of the night. If
it becomes fight of the night, I'll do something. I don't know. We'll talk about it at some point. I don't want to
performance of the night, Christoph Joko.
I will obviously, if this is a great fight and he puts on a performance of a lifetime and excites me, I will come here, foot in my mouth, and like say that I was dead wrong. But I'm telling you, I'm not gonna be wrong. I'm not gonna be wrong.
We need it, Christoph.
He does not take. There's people that he's fought that are like not as good as Gerald Mearshart, who he does not take risks against. I don't see it. I just don't see it. He's just gonna be picking him apart from the outside. That's just my feeling, but. I hope to God I'm wrong because I'd rather not fall asleep in the middle of the card.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, though, I hope Mearshart submits him. I'm a big Mearshart guy. He's a funny dude.
I think
I like
for
him a lot.
I think he's gonna have to go for it early. I think Gerald Mearshart.
Do you see what he said too on the media day?
Nah.
I love this guy, dude. He's so charismatic. He used to train with like Ben Askren. That's how I became like a fan of him. He was like one of his main training partners, especially for that Damian Maia fight. I know that, but he said like before the fight, he's like, yeah, he goes, I've kind of stopped thinking about the title contention right now. I'm on that Sugar Sean mentality. I'm just trying to fight scrubs and get paid. I'm like, that is so funny. I'm like, and I don't think that Jocko's a scrub by any means. But
no, I'm actually rooting for Gerald Mearshart.
I love this guy. He used to post videos
but for this
on his Instagram. I'm sure you definitely don't know about this because this is like this was around when like Ben Askren was fighting Damian Maia, so that's like 2019.
Yeah.
So that's a long time at this point. But he used to post these videos, bro. He'd be wearing like a wife beater or some shirt like that, and he'd be wearing like short jean shorts, and he'd be playing the saxophone, bro. And he's good. He's so good at it. It is so funny. It literally like I followed him for that reason because like I thought this guy is actually hilarious and like. He's not, like, the type of person who's going to be posting, like, funny shit all the time, but, like, when he does, it's pretty funny. I like Gerald Mearshart, man. I like him a lot, so I hope that he wins this fight, but it's going to be a tough one for him against Jocko because Jocko is not going to leave many openings for him to get that submission.
Yeah,
Did not expect to talk about this fight as much as we have.
Hey, you're my dude. Sure. And then that'll just take us to the final card of the main card before we just touch on some prelim highlights. Talk between Darren Elkins.
I'm
trying to find. There he goes. Okay. Yep, between the minus 170 favorite Darren Elkins taking on the plus 150 underdog Tristan Connolly, and just like what I've. And I'm pretty sure you've noticed too, but like for at least this whole main card so far, like there hasn't been a pick'em per se, but there hasn't been a large favorite like the largest favorite we have. So we've talked about so far is a minus 260.
Yeah,
I think it's just, and then I don't even agree that I think the favorites deserve to be the favorites.
That's what I think too. That's what I was trying to like look before we did this at like Draftkings, like and seeing if I could put together any lineups, and I still might, but like. I will say this, like I picked a lot of favorites in this one, so I'm not sure.
Because I was about to say, this looks like a very like chalky slate where like you're gonna like for the main event, for instance, like you need at least one of those guys for sure. Like even if like it doesn't go into 5 rounds, just we thought about it before, just the 5 round element just being there, and then also like Rob Font and Marlon Vera, like these are two guys that are just have more than a capability to pay off their both respective price tags and multiple avenues. So definitely think you want to have some exposure to that. But
100%.
Yeah, like and as far as like that, like so far, like yeah, like this is gonna be a card to like probably gonna call for like you're just gonna have to eat some of that chalk and then just try to like differentiate like with Cheeto Vera for instance, like because I definitely see Rob Font being the like the more popular here, just having
it's just because he's proven. Like,
yeah, exactly. Proven. That's exactly what I was getting at. This fight in particular, Darren Elkins checking in with $8,600 on DraftKings. Fans.
Darren Elkins. I love every time.
Yeah,
I'm like Christoph Jotko. When I see his name in the fight, I get excited. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, man. Literally like as we go, like even when we like touch on the prelims a little bit, like. Christoph Jotko's just kind of he's just gradually just gonna get washed away, but like just everyone else on the card, it's just like, but it still holds true. Like this still holds true with me. Like I think he puts on at least a better improvement performance than we've seen in the past. But anyways,
I don't know what the odds of like having certain fighters on here would be right now, but I can tell you this: Christoph Jotko will never come on this show. he's never gonna want to come on here. Like he's gonna hear what we're saying.
I'm backing you, Christoph. Just know that. But
I'm not.
It's not.
I'm backing him in the sense that I think he's gonna win, but I'm not. I'm rooting for my boy Gerald Mearshart.
So here's actually like some. Here's like the first like true like in terms of like the sports books numbers and what they feel like. This is the first like true like difference here. So on FanDuel, Darren Elkins is a plus 140 to win by decision. Draftkings. Oh no, I was looking at the wrong. Okay, no, they're okay. So this is actually the complete opposite of what I'm about to say. The sites are like exactly like because we last episode I think there was a lot more of like like differences between sites like disagreeing and whatnot, I guess, on like how fights are gonna end or even like just straight up like money line odds. This week they're like. It's very similar. Like, there's hardly like, anything to talk about. It's more like on the DFS sites and the price tags that are like the more interesting talking point. But Darrell Atkins, I think 8,600 DraftKings is fine, perfectly fine. $19 on FanDuel is perfectly fine. And plus, yeah, he's on both sites. Literally the same exact odds to get it done by TKO. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's just gonna be easy dominant decision victory, and it's worth paying for Darrell Atkins, or you're seeing something else here?
I don't know. By the way, his name's Darren. I don't know.
Did I say Daryl?
Yeah.
It's the last name thing.
Yeah, I get you. But it could be. I think we know and love like Darren Elkins for having those fights where he's like getting beat up early and you think that he has no chance, and then somehow he comes back and takes the guy down and beats the crap out of him and wins by either TKO or decision. Or actually, no, not usually decision. It's either TKO or submission, honestly. But this fight, I think that his wrestling is actually like just good enough to get Connolly probably down early and dominate him throughout the fight.
Just essentially just ground and pound.
And like trying to take his back, get his neck, whether that be through...
You see a submission finish, perhaps?
I think it would be one of those things where, like, Darren Elkins might be on top of him for, like, most of the round, and then as the fight goes on, Connolly might get more, like, antsy because he knows he's got to do something, and I think that's when the submissions would open up, because I think that's when he might turn his back, and then Darren can hop on there, or he might open up for a guillotine, which obviously, like, I think Elkins is still at Team Alpha Male. If he isn't now, I know he was. So he's definitely got a guillotine in his arsenal. Anybody who trains there has an above-average guillotine most of the time. So I think that he definitely has like a lot of ways to win, and I think that Connolly is going to try and knock him out, or he's going to. I don't think that he'll be able to take him down and hold him. So I think that Elkins will probably get this one done.
Yeah. I don't hate that plus 550 on DraftKings to win by submission. Darrell Atkins either. It's actually an even better value on FanDuel at plus 750. So
that's for you said
Darren Elkins to win by submission.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Yeah, no, it's not awful. Like people act like he's not even capable of it for some reason. Because people, when you think of Darren Elkins, you think of this guy who's literally getting his ass kicked until he's not. But not every fight is like that with him. Like, he does get decent wins, like, So.
No, like we like to say, with all due, there's no disrespect to Tristan Connolly whatsoever, but I think I think Darren Elkins gets it done like relatively easily. Yeah,
I've had tons of respect for Connolly actually ever since he.
Pat Sabat. I see his Pat Sabatini was
that last one fight. Too, but not even that one. I was thinking about the one fight. Yeah, Pereira. And he won that fight, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he took that fight I want to say on like a few days' notice, and he's obviously not a welterweight, so. Damn. He's fighting at featherweight for this fight. If that gives you an indication at how short of notice he really took that fight on. And, that was that fight where Pereira was doing the flips and all the crazy shit. But, like, I think it's just that Connolly's good. I will say that. Like, people sleep on him all the time. And, we might be sleeping on him this time. But I don't think we are, honestly. I think that Darren Elkins has the experience and has the skill set that he needs to win this fight fairly, easily. Like, I think it'll be, like, a decent decision win by him.
Yeah. solid.
Could get that submission though. I will say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep an eye. That's plus 750 right now, at least on FanDuel. Definitely something I want to keep an eye out for, see how that moves, if it moves at all. But
you never know what'll happen with them.
Yeah. So to move over to prelims, touch on some prelim topics, highlights that we're talking about. Like the largest favorite we will talk about yet on the history of the show. Yep.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was Romanoff. I don't know if this was this entire fight that was supposed to happen last week, or it was just Romanoff who was supposed to fight last week.
I think it was this fight. I think
it was this
fight.
Yeah,
I remember because I remember breaking it down and stuff.
Well, yeah, sorry Chase Sherman, but there won't be no run in this. It won't be no run this time around this week. It's because it's gonna be happening tomorrow, and yeah, I mean, just I don't think we can really gush over Alexander Romanoff, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, this guy is gonna be like insanely popular. Like, I hope if you're playing, play that being aware of that. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, you want to try to and the best way you can to differentiate the rest of your lineup, because this is the kind of guy. This is the kind of guy that, it's going to be really tough to stomach not having in your lineup, I feel like. Because, man, I just brought up, I talked about how this, I don't even need to, fact check, because I know for a fact it's easily the biggest favorite we've talked about on this show yet. As a minus 2,200 on Draftkings.
Are you serious? I gotta read that. There's no way you're telling the truth.
Are you kidding me? I am 1,000% serious right now, sir. I will highlight it for you and everything right now.
Oh my god.
That's why that reaction right there, that's how I know. I don't need to fact check or anything. I know for a fact this is the biggest favorite we've talked about yet on this show.
Jeez.
As far as this DraftKings price tag goes, it's not even I don't think there's ever been. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's ever been a 12K fighter. I mean, a 10K fighter. But this is I would put him at that 10K. Just he's 96, which is still very expensive, but jeez. You could even still save if you wanted to, still under pros, but because there's just so many.
That's the craziest odds.
That's what
I've
I'm saying.
Seen.
And on FanDuel, it's not that much different. Minus 1,800 on FanDuel.
Damn.
To get, yeah, man. It's crazy. I mean, I haven't even looked at the method of victory props yet, which I'm very interested to.
While you're pulling that up, technically speaking, because we haven't really said this yet. But the reason why Romanoff is such a huge favorite is because Romanoff is worlds better, I think, on the ground. And I think that on the feet he's definitely good enough to withstand the onslaught that Chase Sherman's gonna try and bring him. Chase Sherman, he's been around for a while, he has a lot of experience, but he fights with one style. He's trying to really knock you out most of the time. And I think that it's only a matter of time until Romanoff gets him on his back, and I don't even want to know what's gonna happen from there. It's gonna be a tough night, I think.
The best value you'll get on a Alexander Romanov prop is a plus 650 to win by decision.
You said that's the best one you're gonna get.
That's the best value.
They literally think he's gonna finish him. Yes. They're he's not even gonna make it 3 rounds.
It's he might as well be. He's a favorite to win by submission. He's a minus 120 to win by submission. When do you win by submission? Not even by knockout, because submission is a lot more
harder.
Exactly,
that's so much harder. Oh my god. That's the craziest
I think we recently saw it with
I'm glad you didn't tell me that when we were talking about this before we started recording. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm glad I wanted to keep that bring that as surprise. This is easily the biggest favorite we've talked about yet in the history of this show, and it's I'm excited to see who's gonna challenge him for that, because
I hope I'm wrong. I hope Chase Sherman somehow wins this now.
2,200 is actually mind blowing.
Now I want Chase Sherman to win. Now I want him to win. I'm rooting for him. I don't think he's gonna, but I'm rooting for him.
So, yeah. Unsurprisingly, Alexander Romanov, the most expensive fighter on both sides, and Chase Sherman taking in at $8 on. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess the most the word they use in the industry to like, you know, differentiate yourself and whatnot is the contrarian. I guess the most like contrarian way to like approach this fight, I would say, is just to not play Romanoff at all. Like, because I don't like Chase Sherman. You're really
just out of curiosity.
really
what are the odds that Chase wins by knockout on both sites? I guess. Because that's the only way I see him winning. So I'd be curious to see what the sites think of that.
I'm not even gonna say both because it's
probably scary.
But play plus 1800.
Okay.
plus 1800.
Yeah,
okay.
If you're
Now
feeling really dangerous.
This is where I'm good. This is just because because this is, you know, I'm just gonna say it right now in front of the camera because this is not gonna happen. But this is just so hilarious to see to see this anyways.
Please.
Plus 2600 on FanDuel to win by submission. Plus 5,000 on DraftKings.
Like plus 5,000. So I'm right about this, right? Because like obviously you're much more like experienced with like fantasy and betting than I am. So that means if you put $10 on that, you'd win $500. I'm right about that. Right? Like that's crazy.
Essentially, you put 100 down.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
If you're willing to part with like a few dollars, that might just be worth it.
The crazy thing, the funny thing is, it's only like typically today's Friday. Obviously, the weigh-ins and whatnot are gonna take place. I think it's only gonna. I feel like it's only gonna like go like up. Like Romanoff's just gonna. I feel like Romanoff's even just gonna be even more of a favorite by the time we get to this fight, which is like how? It's like how do you even get like?
I will say this, like, and I want to preface this by saying I don't recommend it unless you actually want to take this risk, which I won't even call a calculated risk. I just call a decision that, you know,
a dart throw.
Yeah, that's a better way. That's a good way of putting it. So like, if you have like some money to spend and you want to sprinkle like, you know, $10 or more just on Chase Sherman by knockout or by submission, just like you have to say to yourself, I'm willing to lose this because 99.9% chance you're gonna. But on the most slim chance that he can actually win this thing by like those methods, it might be worth throwing a little bit of money because that's the craziest odds I think I've ever seen in MMA. I can't think of anything.
How fight will end. So yeah, FanDuel has their little section for how how the fight will end. TKO, submission by points. Plus 105 to end by knockout. Plus 115 to end by submission. Plus 500 by points.
God, man.
So like in that sense, like
it's
not worth.
So funny how they think he's just gonna like maul Chase Sherman. That's just so fun.
In other words, it's not worth it to put money down on Romanoff finish. Like it's just not. Like the sites are like they're clearly like ahead of this. They're just how they feel. Like the fact that he's this much of a favorite to win by finish than he is a decision is like it just. That's how you know, like, you have an extremely, like, large favorite. But if you're gonna put money on, like, a finish for this fight, then it might as well be for Chase Sherman. And on DraftKings, by decision, because, oh my, like, it's literally, like, not even in the same, like, realm.
I can't, man.
Actually insane. But, yeah, that obviously needed to be talked about.
Wow. Yeah. I guess. Are there any other prelims that you see?
Yeah, there are for you. About one or two more prelim spots. This one especially between Gabriel Green and Johan Lainez. Lainez actually checking in as the underdog here, and I actually do like it. It's probably my favorite underdog.
That's
pick of the entire card. As far as the price tags go, we have Lainez checking in at 7,700. Gabriel Green 85. And yeah, just right there. Once again, I just think it's a solid value in Lainez. I think like you want the finish obviously and whatnot, and like I think Lainez, he possesses that ability, like the knockout power to finish a fight. I don't think Gabriel Green's the guy to do it, but I still think Lainez can get it done, like. With the grappling, and just even if he like just lands more, like I don't think a decision victory is like
See, like, I would think Green is probably the favorite because I think people think he's probably just going to, like, wrestle and try and hold him down. But I think that Lenny's...
Yeah, I said Lenny's.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But I think that, like, you mentioned his knockout power. I think that that's definitely something to keep your eye on. Like, because I think he might be able to catch Green coming in. Kind of in a similar... Which fight was I saying that about before? I think that it was... It would be like if I said like if wait a minute, never mind. Actually, I think I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I just think that like Lanise is like has a chance to actually finish this fight, and I think that Green might leave some openings to do it, but I'm not 100% sold on it. But like you said, I think he's like Lanise is still like a good underdog. And he might get some points out there.
Yeah, on Draftkings at least, because FanDuel at least, I think FanDuel got it right. As far as at least like the DFS price tags go, Gabe Green's only $1 more than Lenny's.
That's around what it should be. It should be a lot closer.
I think that's right for sure. As far as these props go, like the most likely method of victory that FanDuel has right now is Yohan Lenny's by knockout at plus 200, and then after that you have Green by decision. So I mean, yeah, at least FanDuel I think is kind of seeing. I think FanDuel's seeing it here with Yohan Lenny's. DraftKings has the same odds for a knockout as well. So they acknowledge the knockout power that Lenny's possesses, but like you said, I think they just feel like Green's just gonna use that wrestling to just keep him down and whatnot. I think Lenny's is good enough to just evade that,
right.
Land enough. And, maybe get a decision victory that way. But regardless, I think...
I'm intrigued because, like, in general, and, like, I'll say this, like, as the reasoning, obviously, why we're not going to probably cover every prelim. Like, there's a lot of guys on this, like, I don't really know much about. Like, they're fairly new, like, in the UFC. So, like, I'm honestly, like, coming into this card hoping that, like, I learn, like, a lot about some of these guys. And, therefore, like, in the future, we'll be able to more, like, accurately give, like, a good breakdown. Because, like... me and you said this since the beginning, like, we do want to talk about as many fights as possible, but at the same time, we're not going to, like, bullshit and act like we know what we're talking about.
No, yeah. Like, I definitely just wanted to touch on at least those two prelim spots like that, especially with Lenny's, because we haven't really, like, touted an underdog like that, so I definitely wanted to...
A lot of favorites are, like... should be the favorites.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely wanted to give him that shine, because also, I don't know if Gabe Green... I highly doubt Gabe Green will be a popular option, especially with the price tag he's in, at least on DraftKings. So I just think people are going to gloss over him, rightfully so. But also at the same time, I don't think Lenny's is 7,700 is not like dirt cheap, but he's still the underdog here. He's still relatively.
I'll say this: when I was putting together like my lineups, trying to figure out whether I want to do it or not, he was one of the people who I was putting in a lot of them because just like good, like you said, he's an underdog. It's like a decent price tag. Like, he's not in the 8Ks, even though 7.7 isn't that bad. And obviously, like, I use DraftKings, so, like, I can't really speak to the FanDuel stuff as much. But it's definitely, this is, like, a very, like, live dog, in my opinion. And honestly, like, unless, like, you have, like, any other prelims that you want to shout out, I think it'd be, like, a good transition into our main event prediction.
No, yeah, I think it's perfect, man.
Because that prediction is one of the only other dogs that I think I'm siding with. And
that's Cheeto right. Vera. You have. I'm gonna go with Rob Font here. I guess for the sake of like the camera and whatnot, but also like I do think Rob Font gets it done. I could see a finish. I don't think that's what happens, but I just think I think Rob Font can just. I think this fight's gonna be mostly on the feet is what I think. I think Rob Font lands enough. That's fair.
It's fair. I mean, like I'm not in like total disagreement. I will say that. It's just more that I really think the leg kicks are going to play a huge role in this fight for both guys. I think they're both going to have to stifle each other's movement, but Cheeto especially, like I think if Cheeto can really piece up that leg early and stifle the movement early, it's only going to get easier and easier as the fight goes on,
And then also, I feel like Rob Font's going to be the one shooting for takedowns and whatnot. So
that's true. I do feel like he might. Like, I didn't mention that before, but I think he might try that. That's why it's sort of why I mentioned
my question to you is, do you think Do you think that Cheeto can stuff any of them and like?
What I think is, I truly believe that he thinks that Rob Font is gonna just stay on the feet. So I think that first takedown he might get him because he might catch him slipping.
I don't think Rob Font's gonna. I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he's gonna shoot for that, man. I think he's really gonna wait to like pick the spot, which I think is what he should.
No, yeah, that's what he should
like,
do.
Get Cheeto in that zone, like stand it like he loves to do. Obviously,
yeah, like because like I was saying, like even though I picked Cheeto, I still think that Rob Font is gonna land a lot. So I think if Rob can make Cheeto worry more about that, and then mix in those level changes in that wrestling,
yeah,
I think it's possible. I just don't think that his grappling is as good as Cheeto's, like wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I just think that even if Font does get him down, I think Cheeto's going to be able to get back up or throw up a submission to scramble back to his feet. And vice versa, I think if Cheeto gets Rob Font down, Rob is going to have a very tough time getting up because Cheeto... People don't talk about this enough, man. Like, his ground and pound from top position and just his control in general is phenomenal. Like, I get that, like, he's not technically the most, like, he's not like Petr Yan or Corey Sandhagen who's going to blow you away with his technique. It's just... He's just a fighter. Like, he's so experienced, he knows how to win.
He just brings such, like, a flavor, I think, to 135. Yeah. And it's just, like, I just think he's perfect. But, like, if Marlon Vera becomes Bantamweight champion one day, like, I'm here for it.
It'd be pretty cool, honestly. That would be pretty cool. I never would have thought that a few years ago, and the fact that he's gotten this far is crazy.
He's exciting, man. Like, I really do enjoy watching him.
It's the improvements. Like,
exactly.
He's so much better every time we see him. Like, in that Frankie Edgar... If you watch the Sean O'Malley fight, and then you watch the Frankie Edgar fight,
he was losing that Frankie Edgar fight, too.
Yeah, but either way, like, to be able to get through all that and then still get that crazy finish, and that's why I said he's got power. And, like, I know I was just talking about him getting up, like, off his back, but, like, people got to realize, too, that, like, he has been held down before, but, like, you're getting held down by Frankie Edgar. Like, that's nothing to, like, sleep. Like, you're going to use that against me? Like, Rob Font, he's a great fighter, but his wrestling ain't what Frankie Edgar's wrestling is. So, that's just my view on it. Like, I think that Rob Font, like I said, he's going to probably land a lot, but I think that over the course of the fight, Cheeto with the leg kicks, with his body kicks, because he does throw hard body kicks, man, and just mixing it up between the striking and then the grappling, I just think that it's gonna be close, but I think that Cheeto is gonna come out with the decision. Personally, I don't think he could. I mean, yeah, no, I'm gonna say decision.
Decision for Cheeto, right?
Cheeto, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going decision for Rob Font.
All right, that's gonna be fun. I can't wait to watch it now.
Exactly. Here's the main event. We hope you guys can't wait to watch it either. We hope you guys can't wait to make the green as always as well. Glad to be back on the Sportsbook. Great card to come back to.
Before we end, I do want to tease this. We do have cash money. Shane Miles coming in pretty soon for his post-fight interview. So we're not gonna put that on this episode. We're gonna put this on the Hurt Handbook for Monday. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And that's all. I just wanted to note that now that we actually have it confirmed. So
yeah, smart. All right. Well, once again, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make all the money that you can on this absolutely stacked main card.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you next time.